is also with the essay. Repetition too is part of the micro-macro schema. So it's a bit of a tease, just presenting the video. I have to quickly introduce everyone involved with this project before I move on. Just the evening, not the project, just the evening. Alright, so Life Between Borders, the nomadic life of curators and artists, the book that we're here to sort of launch, considers the consequences of frequent relocation and travel in the art world. It's been edited by Stephen Rand and Heather Felty. This book collection of essays is the fourth title of in apexart's ongoing book series, which was first initiated in 2006. apexart is a non-profit organization in Lower Manhattan, NYC, that was conceived in 1994 to offer opportunities to independent curators and emerging established artists, as well as to challenge ideas about art, its practice, and curation. Art was established in 1872, and as the erstwhile Victoria and Albert Museum, Bombay, it is Mumbai's oldest museum and the third oldest in the country. Since the time of the reopening of the museum in 2008, it's been pursuing actively a contemporary arts program. Girshani, who's going to be in discussion with me after I present the essay, is an art critic and curator based in Bombay. He was editor and later consulting editor of Art India magazine. He has been director of Skoda Art Prize for Contemporary Art and artistic director of Art Chennai in 2014. He's currently artistic director of India Art Fair. Gitanjali Dang is curator, writer and shapeshifter based out of Bombay, where in 2012 she founded Khana Badosh, an itinerant arts lab. She is also research associate at the Zurich University of the Arts Institute for Contemporary Art Research, IFCA. And finally, Khana Badosh. Khana Badosh, the topic that's like doing things with a lot of people that a lot of people to introduce. A lot of logos, etc. Khana Badosh is an itinerant arts lab based out of Bombay with an emphasis on making the invisible visible. The lab is anchored in an inclusionary spirit and is interested in interdisciplinarity, parallel context, new publics, and expanded aesthetics. Khana Badosh is actually the Persian word for those who carry their homes with them, and was founded in 2012. Quickly then moving on to the essay, because we all have places to be seeing these things. So majority of the essays, I can't speak for all unfortunately because I haven't read all yet. But in this volume, it bears to basically problematize the nomadic culture found in arts. For instance, Pascal Guillen, in his essay, Nomadology, the Aestheticization of Nomadic Existence, writes, "What is striking, as I have said, is the contemporary art towards one-sided appropriation of the nomadic discourse. Why are so many positive characteristics ascribed to nomadic life? And why does this so easily lead to self-identification, at least verbally, in the case of most artists and independent curators?" Just to quickly also read a short excerpt from another essay. Jimmy Durham's essay, Building a Nomadic Library, which precedes, actually it's interesting, it precedes my essay in the book. It does not necessarily problematize nomadic cultures, but instead presents its take on collecting books. And in doing so, sets a nice tone for the idea of embodied aesthetics and knowledge that is a sort of concern in the essay I have written. I quote Durham, I cannot remember why it seemed necessary to me to discard books after reading them. I owned a big roomy 1949 Chrysler, so I could have filled the trunk with books. It may be that because I retained knowledge, I carry the story, I have not felt the need for the book. The story has happened, and now one moves on. Moving on then to my essay. The physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone moving. In Patrick Susskind's short story, Death Wish, a young painter takes review of a recent exhibition, Too Much to Art. She is particularly transfixed by the reviewer's suggestion that she is lacking in her understanding of death. It obsesses her to no end, obsesses her right to the end, as it were. The scenario presented by Susskind is far from the norm. To begin with, critics have little muscle. Furthermore, while the artist in Suskind's story becomes excessively preoccupied with depth, the art industry today is primarily lorded over by surface and the shiny, happy visibility that bounces off of it. I mean, I know this is a kind of strong kind of thing to say right up front, but we'll get into it later again. The nomadic proclivities of contemporary art are in constant conspiracy with said visibility, thus making this aggressive strain of capitalist globalism the ultimate arbiter of visibility. The nomad is bandied about expressly in contemporary art settings. However, its connotations are rarely explored in full. The white noise of jet propellers and the ambient music in waiting lounges mask certain predatory tendencies that are innate to the breed of nomads, to this breed of nomads. Traditionally, nomadic cultures have three principal trusts: hunter-gatherers, pastoral nomads, and peripatetic nomads. Art is without doubt an industry of hunter-gatherers. Human beings have been hunter-gatherers since the prehistoric era. We put food in the belly before the arrival of agrarian societies. Although it might seem traditional nomadism of the sort is rare today, a quick scan reveals that this specific culture of nomadism is ingrained in our genotype. We are forever chasing our own private Eldorados. The blame for this is perennially presumed to lie elsewhere. It is oftentimes pushed on to the likes of those unabashed hunter-gatherers who stalk malls and seek their nourishment in its glitter. In reality, though, the blame lies elsewhere, albeit to varying degrees. Just to kind of say that if at any point of time you have a query or you want to interrupt, just feel free to you don't have to wait until the end, you can just do it right away. It can get a little monotonous hearing the same voice, so it's quite okay. In any case, I'm reading. Contemporary art is particularly dexterous at this notorious skill of blame pushing. Needless to say, it is not above such relentless consumerism. Markets, museum, artist, theorist, curator, critic, gallerist, and what have you, are captivated by hunting gathering, which invariably covets the iconic or the ultra-visible. Thus far, iconophilia has proven unerasable, even when the icon, read William de Kooning, has been decidedly erased. Art's reliance on this subsistence method is inescapable because the industry is ruled by mobility, geographical, social, and everything else in between. Typically, this movement, both literal and metaphorical, is in search of sort of greener pastures, where the hunt is gained. Within art, auctions probably qualify as the height of such nomadism. Auction houses ferret icons and gather them for the benefit of collectors, who then perform their own variation of the long-cherished routine. Perpetual motion is important if art practitioners are to fish about like rapacious sharks. In order to have water, subsequently oxygen, washed through their gills, sharks must keep moving. Cessation of motion equals cessation of breath. But of course, motion in itself is not the cause of the predicament. Mozart preferred composing in the back of a carriage, Goethe preferred the horseback, closer to now, Saskia Sassen prefers to write when she's flying. This very important bit of information is not available online. She actually was in an interview with her when she said that she mostly does a lot of her writings when she's flying. She's flying very often, so that's a lot of writing. And Haruki Murakami, who's also a long-distance runner, has written extensively about his experiences in his memoir, What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. Murakami writes, "For me, running is both exercise and a metaphor. Running day after day, piling up the races, bit by bit I raise the bar. And by clearing each level, I elevate myself. At least that's why I put the effort, day after day, to raise my own level. I'm no great runner by any means. I'm an ordinary, or perhaps more like mediocre level. But that's not the point. The point is whether or not I improved over yesterday. In long-run distance running, the only opponent you have to beat is yourself, the way you used to be. The art industry's breakneck travels are in contravention with all that Murakami says, and leaves unsaid. While Murakami tries with each run to push out of his comfort zone, the industry is keen on sinking deeper into the plushness of his comfort zones. Moreover, in demanding a sort of unremitting peripatetic extroversion from its players, the industry ensures that no mode of self or transportation will ever live up to its call for acceleration. For individuals working within the parenthesis of the business, failure to be on the move will result in severing of the visibility oxygen. Constant motion deceives the members of the fraternity into mistakenly believing that they can parry the inevitable flatline forever, the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone moving. This moment also hampers the contemporaneous in art. Giorgio Agamben writes, and this is actually now like a really hotly quoted section by Agamben. I've heard it in poets way too many times myself. Contemporaneous is then a singular relationship with one's own time, which adheres to it and at the same time keeps a distance from it. More precisely, it is a relationship with time that adheres to it through a disjunction and an anachronism. Those who coincide too well with the epoch, those who are perfectly tied to it in every respect, are not contemporaries, precisely because they do not manage to see it. They are not able to firmly hold their place on it. The contemporaneous of contemporary art, as we know it, is oftentimes myopic in its attachment to the present. Its need for speed cancels room for introspection. As such, contemporary art, then, is infrequent